This is one of the greatest viewpoints of healing, the viewpoint of the trigger. And this is what I want to show to you. So the trigger for me is one of the greatest gifts for those who are willing to heal. I'm going to repeat this. A trigger is one of the greatest gifts for those who are willing to heal, which means a trigger is an opportunity for where you are still being tripped up by something. Do you guys agree? Does that make sense to you guys? Question number one, how many of you freaking hate triggers? No one likes triggers, right? So isn't your goal then, or let me ask you, would your goal then therefore be to try and not have that trigger repeat again and again? How many of you want that shit? Please, yes, hell yes. I don't want that trigger to come up. Can I get a double hands? Can I get a excitement pump up? Like, yes, I don't want those freaking triggers. Yes. Okay, so then now what do we do about it? Think about it this way. If a baby is hungry and it's crying to you, right? You could at that point ignore the baby's cry and just like wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until the baby cries and then the baby stops crying. But if the baby's not fed, is the baby going to be joyful and happy and return to what they're doing? Or are they going to cry again? They're going to cry again. So is the solution then to put in the headphones and avoid the baby's crying? Is the solution then to put your attention and focus into something else and distract yourself? Or is your solution to feed the baby because it's crying for a reason? That's exactly what your triggers are about. So I want you to think about this as a trigger. I'm not going to give you the entire definition of the trigger because, well, this is what I teach the triggers in depth in my programs for a reason, but I want you to just introduce you to this idea because we're here for healing, right? A trigger, the thing that always sets off your nervous system is a trigger. And triggers can be good, they can be bad. Like even when you look at a puppy and a smile, that's a trigger. It's a stimulus that sets off your nervous system. But what a trigger is that's harming you, what a trigger is that's like bringing up pain, what a trigger is that's making you feel sad or rejected or abandoned is just an old pain being recycled into this present moment. This is something incredibly important for you to recognize because in your relationships today, if you are still being triggered by someone, it doesn't mean that they are trying to intentionally cause you harm. It means that you've attracted a moment where their behavior reminds you of something painful you've experienced before. And that's why you react. Do you know where the origin of the word react comes from? Reenactment, repetition of an action. This is one of the most important things that will change your life forever because it will put the importance of the healing in your basket rather than the expectation of the relationship or the other person. Because what's happening is the other person is just a stimulus. The other person is just like bringing up something. The other person is just acting the way they know how, which may be messed up, but that's all that they know how to do. But you getting sucked into it, you reacting, you getting triggered, you feeling the pain of it, you being brought down, you getting completely dysregulated and getting into the rabbit hole of emotion, like taking over you, you being lost. That is simply you unconsciously allowing an old feeling, an old experience to be brought up in the present moment. Whenever you get triggered, it's actually your past that's coming up and being shown in the moment as a reaction. The way you react is actually your past. It's not your present or your truth, actually. The way you react is your past. And then they say that the second reaction is when you get to choose how your present or whatever shows up. But the first reaction that tends to show up is your past that brings up. Now, why am I telling you guys this? Why am I focusing on this particular thing? Because if we want to learn to give love to ourselves, we want to learn to allow love, we want to learn to have love, we have to learn to take away the blocks that bring in this love. We have to learn to heal the experience, the old experience and the fears that are still being shown up in the present moment. Let's work on an example, right? Let's say you're starting to date someone and in the past, you really liked someone, you were with them for a while and then they rejected you. Actually, someone brought up a really good point where they said, for the first many years of my life, there was a lot of peace. Actually, for me also, when I was in my 20s, I felt like I was not even conscious or anything. I was living like a quote unquote happy life until I went through an extremely painful breakup. I was with someone for 6 years and then suddenly everything came back to the surface. I started to feel a huge sense of anxiety about relationships. I started to want to attach to women to try and make sure they loved me. And relationships became my entire focus. And here's something I used to say to myself, which I'm going to ask you if any of you have said this before. If my relationship is fine, everything in my life will be fine. Have any of you ever said that? Just be honest with yourself. This is telling you where your sense of attachment lies. It's already telling us that we've abandoned ourselves, right? Isn't that the truth? Because we're saying if my relationship is fine, then I'll be fine. Not the opposite, which is if I'll be fine, my relationship is fine. It's saying that, hey, Yats, I'll abandon how I really feel, what I'm going through, what's hurting me, because if my relationship is fine, then I'll be fine. So let me ignore what I'm hurting. Let me ignore what I'm going through. Let me ignore my pains. Let me just go keep sprinkling love on this relationship, try to please them, make sure they're good. Don't want to, rock the boat, trigger the tiger, any of those particular things, make sure it's running fine. Then I'll be good. And what happens at the end? Literally all our work has gone out the window because that's exactly what happens. They get triggered, they get challenged, they want to leave, and abandonment comes all over again. But when that happens, something happens to your nervous system where when it goes through a particular kind of shock, past experiences and past traumas can fly back to the surface because, again, what's happened there is you've been triggered. You've been triggered by something which reminds you of a potential past fear, and this becomes dominant in your life. So for many of you who you feel like, oh yeah, I didn't feel this way before, but now I feel really this way a lot. The simple thing is that it's just determining where you are now. And where you are now is you're in a place where your old fears are dominating your present state of being. I can bet that that's why a lot of you have shown up for this workshop, because your current state is that your old fears, your old experiences are dominating where you are right now. And your sense of peace, your sense of joy, whatever, those things are being overtaken by those old fears and old anxieties. So now I move on to the next thing that I want to say to you about the triggers, right? So if the trigger is the old wound that's coming up, it's the old fear that's coming up right now. If I don't know the fear, if I don't know, and you don't have to know the wound, by the way, you don't have to know the wound. I'm telling this to you guys right now, but you have to know the fear, because the wound, which is when you probably experienced a huge rejection or breakup or whatever before, it triggers a fear. The fear is the how. The wound is kind of the what. You have to hear you have to kind of know the how here, because the how is what's dominating your life. It's the same thing that when you get in, like I said, you've been through a bad breakup before. Now you're starting to date someone all over again. You want a beautiful, healthy relationship, right? You want to have someone who shows up for you, someone who's like capable. But in the first date goes well, you're like very chill because you know you haven't put in too much, so you're not afraid of losing too much. Second date, a little better. Third date, you start to get a little more scared because now you kind of like this guy or this girl. Now you're investing your heart, you're investing your energy. Maybe it goes on longer, fifth date, sixth date, few weeks. Now you're really investing because unconsciously, someone said you have stakes in the matter. What's actually happening is you have an unconscious attachment to the matter. The stake is really that I need this person to show me that I'm lovable. And it's not that I'm taking this as a dating experience. You see the difference? That I'm taking this as just an open relationship experience, whereas the other thing is I'm really investing in this person showing me I'm lovable, because the last person really fucked me up. Now you go into this, few weeks in, you've really invested yourself more and more. Suddenly you're seeing a dip in interest from this person. If you are in a healthy, more regulated like state of being, which there are times in our lives that we are, but after bad pain, we're not. You go back to reflect at this place, right? And you're like, shit, if this guy dips now, I'm going to be alone all over again. And the last time I was alone, it was fucking hell. And if this person says that he likes somebody else, or that she's choosing someone else, or that they're not interested in me, oh my God, that's going to bring up a whole whirlwind of shit from my past. So now, without even seeing that this is what's happening, your mind is playing this game. So your nervous system starts saying, hey, listen, let's remind ourselves of how we felt in the past. It's scary when someone leaves. It's not cool when they're pulling away, which means they're going to, sabotage, or they're going to end our relationship or something else. So then the nervous system says, what can we do to try to get them to stay? We cling, we hold on tight, we plead, we people please. Maybe we pull away for some of us if we're not safe or don't feel this works out. And all of those things come from simply, listen to this carefully, a trigger. a trigger that makes you feel unsafe in that moment. So when I've studied relationships extensively with people together, what they do on their own, how they build healthier relationships, the most important thing is they make poor decisions when they're not feeling internally safe. I want you to write this down. And I don't want you to say poor, but I want you to say, I don't make healthy decisions when I'm not feeling emotionally safe. This is the absolute truth of how we function as human beings. And so what I'm saying it is, what's more important than your decision, what's more important than that person, what's more important than the relationship is just focus on creating emotional safety for yourself. When you do that, and when you get better and better at doing that, you will attract the capability to make better decisions, to see better red flags, to not even get to 3 weeks later to realize that that guy or girl is pretty avoidant or can't love you or the opposite way. Earlier on itself, you are feeling so emotionally healthy. You're like, well, this person doesn't actually give me the kind of love that I need. Sure, they are offering me sex or they're offering me like, they take me around the world or any of those things, but they're not actually giving me the safety or anything I need. Weird. And then you want to say to that person, hey, this has been going really well, but I don't think I need to take this any further. That's a huge switch from where you've been at the past, from where you've been on the receiving end of people not saying that you're valuable, lovable, wantable, any of those things. Now you move to a place where it's not that you have to reject them first. No, that's the wounded way of thinking about it. It's where you get to choose for your own life what's important first, before somebody else gets to choose what's important. Are you hurting from shame, loneliness, toxic relationships? Do you want to break that pattern and create a beautiful, loving life for yourself? Well, my name is Yats, and I'm an inner work and relationship guru. And I have helped thousands of women and men from all around the world learn to become their best selves and have the lives that they truly want and desire. This channel was designed for you to be able to heal those old wounds, be able to become and elevate your best self, and to you to love your life really that you have right now. And I offer an 8-week program called The Gauntlet, which takes you on this amazing journey of healing those wounds. And I also offer in-person live retreats all around the world where you can access that same level of healing and empowerment. I want you to do something for you today. I want you to watch some of these videos. And if these videos hit close to home, they resonate with you and they're giving you some inspiration, then I want you to subscribe and share it with somebody else who needs it. These videos aren't just for someone to consume. They're meant to inspire people to take action. And if you want to take action in your own life, jump in the comments, watch the videos, send me a DM at The Inner Yats on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video.